You keep missing God's blessings without even realizing it because your heart is too distracted to notice the divine appointments He's setting right in front of you. Yes, you're walking past favor, bypassing answered prayers disguised as inconvenient moments, and rejecting provision because it doesn't look like what you expected. The truth is, some of your greatest blessings don't come wrapped in comfort, but in obedience, and that's where most people fail. God told Abraham to leave everything familiar in Genesis 12, and had he delayed, the promise would have stayed out of reach, and that's your warning. Delay is disobedience in disguise. You've been praying for breakthrough, but God is watching how you move when nothing is happening, because that's when He tests who you really trust, your own understanding or His unseen hand. Proverbs 3:5-6. The shocking reason many miss their blessings is because they keep waiting for confirmation when God already gave a command. He said go, but you're still sitting. He said forgive, but you're still holding a grudge, and that bitter root, Hebrews 12:15, is blocking your flow. What if I told you that your next blessing is actually waiting for your obedience to unlock it, but you've built your life around fear masquerading as wisdom, and now you call stagnation God's timing, when it's actually your unwillingness to walk by faith, not by sight? 2 Corinthians 5:7. Here's another hidden reason. You crave the blessing more than the blesser, so God, in His mercy, withholds it, not to punish you, but to protect you from idolizing His gifts. Because anything you put above Him, He'll remove or delay until you're ready to steward it with humility. Remember Matthew 6:33? Seek first the kingdom, not the relationship, not the house, not the platform, but the King, and everything else will follow. Yet you keep flipping the order and wondering why doors won't open. Secretly, you've gotten used to surviving off crumbs when God prepared a feast, but your spiritual appetite has been dulled by distractions, scrolling more than you pray, listening to everyone but Him, and then wondering why your discernment is low and your spirit feels dry. Here's the hard truth. You can't recognize a blessing if your spirit is numb. And the enemy knows this, so he doesn't have to steal your blessing. He just has to steal your focus. That's why you're constantly in cycles of almost free, almost promoted, almost healed, because the enemy sends counterfeits before every divine release, and you fall for what looks good instead of waiting for what's God. 2 Corinthians 11:14. How many times have you mistaken distraction for direction? That text from your past wasn't random. It was an interruption disguised as closure, and you entertained it thinking God was bringing things full circle, when really it was the enemy trying to reroute your destiny. The sad part is, many blessings are time-sensitive, like the 10 virgins in Matthew 25. 5 were ready, 5 were not, and when the door shut, it didn't reopen. This is your warning. God doesn't bless confusion, so if your heart is cluttered with compromise, you'll miss what He's sending because you won't have the clarity to receive it. Sometimes God will test your capacity before He increases your supply. If you can't manage peace at your current level, how will you handle pressure with promotion? You're praying for the next season but ignoring the preparation in this one, and Luke 16:10 makes it plain. If you're not faithful in little, you won't be trusted with much. So yes, you've been crying for blessings, but the secret is they're already around you. You just haven't positioned yourself to receive, because receiving requires responsibility, and responsibility reveals whether you want God's will or just His benefits. And maybe the most shocking truth is this. Sometimes God hides your blessing in the very thing you've been avoiding, the difficult conversation, the lonely season, the closed door, because He knows that if He blessed you prematurely, it would crush you instead of elevate you. So now, the question isn't, where is God's blessing? It's, are you ready for what you're asking for? Because God is not in the business of blessing your comfort zone. He's in the business of expanding your faith. And sometimes that means stripping things before He supplies, cutting before He crowns, testing before He trusts. And if you're wondering why it feels quiet, why it seems like heaven is silent, remember this: the teacher is silent during the test. But don't mistake silence for absence. God is watching how you wait, and He's not punishing you, He's preparing you. So if you're tired of missing what He's trying to give, stop trying to skip the process, stop calling distractions opportunities, and stop treating partial obedience like it counts. It doesn't. Your next blessing is not coming when you pray louder. It's coming when you surrender deeper, when you finally say yes with no conditions, when you trust even when it's dark, when you obey